Finally, we have our first meltdown of the World Cup. Argentina, you had your chance against Iceland last week and you blew it. Lionel Messi, you had your penalty saved by a film director. And now, you look like you're going to be catching the first plane home. I mean, Maradona did warn us. I mean, he was in attendance at the Iceland game. Although I'd imagine the poor bastard spent half the game in the bathroom. Tiny bladder, lads. That's all I'm getting at. After the game, he said, "It's a disgrace. Not having prepared for the match, knowing that Iceland are 1 meter 90 centimeters tall." So if he didn't rate Jorge Sampaoli then, God knows what he thinks of him now. A madman is probably tempted to push him down a flight of stairs. Alright, we'll get on to Argentina in a minute, but first, Croatia came into this game having dispatched of Nigeria in comfortable enough fashion, but they did just send Nikola Kalinic home from the World Cup. That was the big news. After he refused to be a substitute. Lad, you just scored 6 goals all season, get the on the bench. I remember Nikola Kalinic when I put him in my fancy league team back in 2010. Instead of Andy Carroll, Andy Carroll then went and scored one of the only hat-tricks of his career. And yes, I do include 5-a-side kickabouts in that. I hate Nikola Kalinic. But lads, Argentina were woeful. Now don't get me wrong, Croatia were really good, passed the ball very well. But lads, these were World Cup finalists 40 years ago. What? This was so embarrassing from Argentina. Yeah, like yesterday I was crying over something that happened in the World Cup. Oh God, did something happen. The players didn't even track the runners. They just stopped dead. And the goals, oh good lord, the goals. The first one, right? The ball is getting laid back to Caballero. Now you would think any normal goalkeeper with a pair of working chromosomes would just kick it up the pitch. Just boot it. Oh no, this guy's got other ideas.
Don't tell me how to clear the ball, Irish guy. I've got another plan up my sleeve.
Plan which involves dinking it to Ante Rebic to just volley it into the back of the net. What? Yeah, great plan. Jesus Christ, there was so much willy malfunctioning going on, I could have sworn I was watching porn for the elderly. That was in the 53rd minute. Not ideal, but not a disaster. Calm your shit, Argentina. You still have time to recover. You have the superior players, although I don't have a clue what Max Meza was doing on the pitch. That man looks like he won his career in a raffle. But calm it down a bit, work yourselves back into the game, alright? You got this. But no, they showed about as much composure as a 12-year-old after 3 bottles of whiskey. Also, I just want to say, I hope none of you 12-year-olds are actually doing that, except those of you that live in Sunderland, in which case, drink the up for your own sake. Why am I encouraging teenagers to drink? I sound like my parish priest. Luka Modric then struck the killer blow after 80 minutes before Ivan Rakitic netted a late third. But lads, honestly, watching the last 15 minutes was like watching the Brazil-Germany game from 4 years ago. None of the Argentina players were tracking back, and I'm sorry, but Messi as captain, he didn't open his mouth once. Like, is this the end of Messi's international career? Probably. Like, I don't even see them beating Nigeria now. Let's not forget they already played them in November and got battered 4-2. There is something seriously wrong with this team. Like, it's a malaise. It's just rotting them from the inside out, which is something half the cats from Love Island will probably hear from their gynecologist soon enough. They just seem to be relying way too heavily on Messi to bail them out. I mean, it was even like this 4 years ago, but at least back then they had defenders who knew what to do. Nowadays, they can't even be bothered. Also, I don't want to hear all this nonsense about, oh,
Messi isn't a great player until he wins the World Cup.
Do you know how few players win the World Cup? It is a very exclusive club. Like, was George Best not a great player because he happened to be born on a patch of land that barely had a hope of qualifying? No, he was one of the best that ever lived. I mean, admittedly, he was washed up at the age of 26, but that had more to do with the fact that he kept downing whiskey like it was tap water. So for those of you doubting Messi in an Argentina shirt, I mean, who was it that actually dragged this shambles of a team to Russia in the first place? Because, it wasn't Marcus Rojo. It's not his fault, he's basically forced to work with a bunch of amateurs. But lads, if a country managed by a dentist and who chuck film directors in goal actually make it to the last 16 ahead of Lionel Messi, I don't understand football anymore. Although according to some of you I never did in the first place. France took on Peru in a game Peru needed something from. The French had come under some criticism for winning ugly against Australia, so they responded to their critics by winning a dour 1-0. Kylian Mbappe scored the winner, becoming the youngest ever French international goal scorer at a tournament at the age of 19. Jesus Christ, lads, what were you doing at the age of 19? What was I doing? Clearly I was a junkie's wet dream. But at least you can say one thing, that he's definitely the face of someone whose future rests solely on YouTube. I feel bad for Peru though. I mean, they actually played quite well, and their fans were a credit to their nation. Paulo Guerrero was a backup for Jefferson Farfan, and he had some half chances. Some man to even be playing at the World Cup, considering he actually tested positive for cocaine.
Oh no, sorry lads. I digested it accidentally after it was in my tea.
What? Patrice Evert actually criticised Mbappe, saying he needs to be less flashy. This coming from the man who signed for Manchester United with an actual sheep draped around his shoulders. Maybe that was to get the attention of Ryan Giggs. Would have been better served just giving him the number of his wife. Denmark took on Australia in the early morning kickoff. As we all know, the Scandinavians have picked up a great win against Peru, thanks to Croatia deciding not to score a penalty, but instead trying to smash the ball off some old lady in the crowd. To be fair, if she was blowing a vuvuzela, I am with you all the way. Denmark took the lead when Christian Eriksen smashed home before Australia equalised with, shock horror, a penalty. Will Australia ever score a goal that isn't a Jedinak penalty? Anyway, that's all I've got time for today, lads, because I'm exhausted. Basically, I'm dying. I barely made this one for today. Like I'm hanging on by a thread.
Oh my god, who cares?
Anyway, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff. I haven't slept in a full-on week. I am going batshit insane. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.